There's going to be so much talk about wood, you might get a splinter listening to this episode. Sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet. This is Beer in Front. Every week I'll talk to people in and around the beer world and get their stories all about beer. That's Beer in Front, and it's coming up now. Welcome to episode 298 of Beer in Front. I'm your host, Dave Zalatoris, and Beer in Front is a charter member of the Beer Media Group. You're listening to this in April, and you see the cover art, and you see the wood barrel, and it looks like there's 3 cans of barrel-aged beer, and you're thinking to yourself, Dave, what, am I in a time warp? Barrel-aged beers come out around Thanksgiving. Well, in the Chicago area, last week and this week, 3 legendary Chicago breweries, Old Irving Brewing, Half Acre, and Revolution Brewing, coming out with some killer barrel-aged beers. I'm going to talk about all 3 of them a little later in the episode. Also, stay tuned. I went over to Revolution to talk to Marty Scott, who is the barrel program manager over at Revolution Brewing, and we had a tank pour. We had a sneak peek of their brand new peach brandy barrel, DBVSOJ. Phenomenal beer. So I'm going to talk about all 3 beers that came out in the Chicago area, talk to Marty. Marty's been on the show before a couple years ago, but if you ever wanted to know anything about barrel-aged beers, Marty's the person to listen to. Absolutely great interview. Marty has forgotten more about barrels than we will ever know. So that was a fun interview. Learned a lot about barrels and different types of barrels and blending beers. Really informative. I had a ton of fun talking to Marty, and I think you're going to enjoy that. So it's a lot of good stuff happening on this episode. Stay tuned, grab yourself a barrel-aged beer, and enjoy the ride. In beer and beverage news, the Brewers Association, they announced the 2026 Industry Award winners. The FX Matt Defense of the Industry Award went to Jamie Floyd, who is the founding brewer of Ninkasi Brewing Company in Great Frontier in Oregon. The Russell Scherer Award for Innovation in Craft Brewing went to Todd Mott. Todd joined Mass Bay Brewing Company, which is now Harpoon, and he developed the Harpoon IPA back in 1993. And also the Brewers Association Recognition Award went to Dr. Tom Shellhammer, who was recognized for contributions in education, science, and industry collaboration. For more information, head over to the Brewers Association website and check that out. If you're a fan of Busch Light, one, you're probably not listening to this, but if you are and you're a fan of Busch Light, they got 3 new releases coming out. They're going to come out with a Busch Light Lemon, which is a light lager with natural flavor. Busch Light Orange, same thing, light lager with natural flavor. And a Busch Light Pickle, same thing, light lager, natural flavor. I don't know. I'm not poo-pooing it, and I don't want to yuck anyone's yum, but these are all checking in at around 4%, 4.1%. Low calorie, low carbs are all at about 115 calories. You know, if that's your thing, and, you know, if I see one in a mix pack, maybe I'll try it. I doubt it, but maybe I'll try it. But if you're a fan of Busch Light, they've got 3 new varieties coming out. This looked pretty cool from Samuel Adams. Their Oktoberfest, as always, it's a solid beer. It's always a solid beer, more a Marzen style, but they're going to come out with a non-alcoholic Oktoberfest this year. So keep an eye out for that from Samuel Adams. And finally, some really sad news. Now, I have heard rumors that Pabst is going to discontinue Schlitz. If you've listened to the show for any amount of time, you know I'm a Schlitz guy. I wear my Schlitz hat proudly. I have Schlitz shirts, glasses. I'm a Schlitz person. I heard rumors about that earlier on Friday. I'm recording this on Friday. I saw something from the Beer Temple, which is a great place here in Chicago. If you're in Chicago, you got to check out the Beer Temple. But they had a post not confirming it, but I mean, according to the post there, they said that they had news that it's being discontinued. So they bought a case. I had to go out and search for it. The Bennies by me happened to have a couple 12 packs left, so I grabbed the final 12 pack. I don't know. I know Pabst was having some trouble. I don't know. I mean, Schlitz is a legendary brewery in the United States. They've had plenty of troubles. They've been up and down and down and up, everything. But if you live here in Chicago, you see all the Schlitz houses that are still around. And you can go back. I did an episode on Schlitz years and years ago. Maybe I'll revisit it later, but really sad news. So I grabbed my final 12 pack of Schlitz, and I'm sure I'll be doing videos on that. But if that's true, that Schlitz is going to be discontinued, it's not cool. All right, welcome back. Tuesday, April 14th at 9 a.m. Central, you'll be able to place your order for Peach Brandy Barrel DBVSOJ. This is like an eye chart. It's a new barley wine from Revolution Brewing, Deepwood series that is aged in bourbon, rum, and peach brandy barrels. I'm here today at Revolution Brewing to talk to Marty Scott, the barrel program manager at Revolution, to talk about this anticipated new release. Marty, thanks for coming back on again.
Thanks for coming on, Dave. Good to see you again.
Well, take us back to the beginning, if you will. And we've talked before, so we don't need to get into the whole you got bit by a radioactive 2x4 and you became barrel man. But how does someone end up running one of the most respected barrel programs in the country?
That's thank you very much. That's a great question. It starts, I think, with chairman of the party, Josh Deeth, and the principals over the years investing in this program. I do this as a full-time job. I'm not doing a million things around the brewery and also trying to make this work as well. I'm able to just simply focus on wood extraction and barrels. And that investment, we've learned a lot because we've been able to focus and spend so much time and our resources on it. Also, you have to mention brewmaster Jim Seaback. I get to barrel age his beers. Nobody else in the world gets to start with Jim Seaback beers and put them into barrel. It's a bit like walking out onto a festival stage and the giant 300-watt festival tube amp is already there and warmed up, plugged in, and all I got to do out there is strum an E chord and the crowd goes wild. That's not me. That's the roadies, and that's everybody making this a possibility. And then I have to also mention Victor Maravilla. He's one of the Revolution OGs. He's been with us since February or January of 2010, even before the brew pub opened. For the last probably 6 years or more, he's been my right-hand man for everything barrel and oak. He is a workhorse. He's brilliant, and he is every bit as passionate about this stuff as I or Jim or Josh are. So there's a vertical integration here, vertical alignment with us being totally committed and passionate about this. And we've gotten lucky and made a few really great beers on accident over the years. And then in the post-mortem, we go back and we figure out just how the heck did we make this happen? And because we've invested in the attention here, we've been able to learn a lot. Josh has also given me, and Jim has given me a lot of latitude to go work in wine, start my own company representing a cooperage, who's also one of our suppliers. So we're just fully committed to learning as much as we can to make these beers as compelling as possible to meet or exceed your expectations every time. And that's the short version.
Well, you mentioned before doing other things. So you've done internships at a winery in Paso Robles, and you've also spent time at a cooperage in France. Most brewers, pardon the pun, aren't going that deep into the woods. What sent you down that road in your journey?
Just slight correction. The cooperage is in Benicia, California.
Okay.
They're a Portuguese-owned company. They're basically, it's Cork USA, or Cork Supply USA is their main business. Subsidiary of that is Tonelario, their cooperage, where they're building the barrels. Almost all of their wood is going to be, French oak for the winemakers in the Bay Area around Napa, Sonoma, and all around the world. But that's where I get almost all of my French oak from, or pretty much all of my French oak comes from Creative Oak, which is the barrel alternative subsidiary of Tonelario. So yeah, and I represent them. Josh was very agreeable to me starting my own business, Barrelponics, a couple of years ago, as a way for me to make consulting income and representing different suppliers, almost like being a brewer with an endorsement deal. But yeah, he knows that if someone else can pay my travel and I can go learn something someplace else, I'm going to come home and bring those lessons back. So Josh has fantastic foresight, and he realizes that this is value added to Revolution Brewing, even though he might not be on the hook for paying me for trips to wineries or trips to cooperages and things like that. So yeah, it started with sabbatical in 2022. I spent 4 weeks of an 8-week sabbatical working at Herman Story Wines in Paso Robles. And they make, just like we talk about making big dumb beers here at Revolution in the Deepwood series, Russell Frome and his team at Herman Story in Paso, they make big dumb wines, really big, jammy, a lot of really ripe fruit and loads of new French oak. And the first time I experienced one of his wines, it was a beautiful realization for me that, holy shit, this is what I've been chasing in my own program. And it just opened up my mind to how can you have maximum oak impact, and how do we get these beautiful traditional fire toast expressions of good French oak into our barrel program, because our barrel program, we're using ex-bourbon barrels for the most part, and they're tired, man. They left the best part of them on a liquor store shelf. There's a reason that those barrels are used once and then not again. So how do we have a wood-focused beer when we're using a barrel that's got maybe 10% of its available oak extract left in it? So learning about these French oaks at the winery, and then learning how to administer them through the cooperage, adding these woods to our existing tired bourbon barrels, it's a match made in heaven. It's just a couple of different things coming together at the right time in the right place. And I think I've lost the plot here, but it's never been a better time to drink barrel-aged beer if you're a fan of Revolution.
And, most people think of, you mentioned French oak, but last year, your 15-year beer, which it was like Brazilian wood?
Yeah, there was a variant of 15-year beer that was the Cherry Amburana, where we did.
It's so good.
Yeah, thank you. We just used a little bit of Amburana aged barley wine. Amburana is such an expressive wood, and it can be expensive too, until you realize just how many times you can reuse it.
Oh, okay. So it's not like bourbon barrels where it's one and done?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because we're getting the flavor and aroma from the wood itself and not from the spirit that was formerly in the barrel, like you do with bourbon. It's not just use once and destroy. It will keep coming back and keep giving back to you over and over and over. But because Amburana can be seen as expensive, the buy-in for an Amburana barrel anywhere from $800 to $1,000 in most cases, that's a pretty significant buy-in. So that's the main hurdle for a lot of folks. And once you've accepted that eye-watering invoice for a single barrel, the tendency, unfortunately, has been to get as much of that impact as possible into a particular whiskey or beer or what have you. Almost to the point where, even though it's an entirely natural extraction and a natural wood product, it winds up coming across as being very synthetic, almost plasticky, rubbery, like the old cheap vinyl toys you might find in a Happy Meal in the 80s. That smell if you know that smell. And Amburana is capable of delivering that, or it's capable of giving you that nice, subtle kind of baking spice cupboard aromatic. And that's really what we're going for. So we either limit our residency time in one of those barrels to like an overnight, if we're not going to blend it, if it's a single barrel project, or we'll do a single barrel, age it for a couple of months, and then blend that into 20 to 40 non-Amburana finished beers. So either blend it down, or you keep your residency time breathtakingly brief. And in this case, we've just got barley wine sitting in these Amburana barrels full time. And when we need a little bit of it, we empty one into kegs and we take it, 5-gallon keg at a time, a 6th barrel at a time.
Yeah.
That way we don't have to worry about, overdoing it, underdoing it. We can blend these things into taste. And if that takes some of the romance out of it, so be it. They're going to be flawlessly executed and well balanced every single time. My 4 favorite words in this industry are "as the brewer intended." And if the end result isn't that, then it's wrong. Even if, you accidentally happen upon a killer blend or a killer fermentation and aging. Like I said, we've been lucky enough to execute a few lucky, awesome beers by accident. But it's so much more fun when we can do it on purpose, almost as a matter of routine. So blending is huge to us. And Amburana, there's almost no better way, in my experience, to handle that, because that wood is just so hyperactive.
Over the years, and I'm looking at probably a couple hundred of them, but you bought thousands of barrels since 2012. Walk us through what a normal day is like for Marty. What are you doing on a typical Wednesday besides talking to me?
Well, most of the work associated with barrel work is passive. It's happening right now to the 1,400 or so filled bourbon barrels that we have on site. They're doing their thing with or without us. But, we've got barrels to taste to get ready for blends or rebarreling. We've got barrels to order when we're emptying barrels for these blends. We like to backfill the stacks as quickly as possible to maintain as maximum age in barrel. So yeah, it could be a lot of things. We could be tasting barrels. We could be prepping additional wood. We've got a catering hot box in the back here, and it's loaded right now, sitting at 150 Fahrenheit with a few $1,000s worth of fire toasted French oak in it. And we've got various barrels that are just waiting for this wood. So we do what we call a dry pasteurization in the hot box. So we're not introducing additional oxygen or extracting with hot water or anything like that, just because these woods are not already liquor soaked. And that's what we rely on in the case of a bourbon barrel to keep the beer from contaminating
Okay.
or becoming contaminated. And we don't have that in the situation where we're using new wood. So we just use a little heat treatment on it before we apply it. So if there's time today, I might be dropping some extra French oak into a couple of custom barrels, what we call build-a-barrels.
Okay.
For a couple of our high-performing retail partners. So yeah, we're always thinking about wood, whether we're touching it that day or not. And I think we've got some barrels to palletize. This morning we were just working on an oaked blend, a non-barrel aged but oaked blend on a sour that we're whipping together for festival season and for the tap room in the summer. That's going to be called Cantina Rosé.
Oh, nice.
That was a Imperial Freedom sour base at about 8 ABV that we dropped onto some fire toasted American oak for a couple of months in anaerobic tank. And then we're blending that down with unoaked Freedom and some prickly pear puree and some lime. So we're doing like a reposado prickly pear margarita inspired sour.
Looks like I'll be spending my summer here.
Yeah, that thing's great. Maybe we'll get you a taste on the way out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're always working on something. We've got base beers that we're preparing to start doing oaked varieties of, or like standard non-barrel aged beers. I'll probably be unveiling in a couple of months a oaked version of one of our lagers. That'll start draft only here.
Okay.
That would be tap room only, retail only, kind of proof of concept that, hey, you don't have to age something to oak something, and you don't have to use really low quality oak chips to keep costs down or to do a fast extraction. So yeah, we're having a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, people that you've worked with before too, Firestone Walker with their DBA. That's just a classic that's been around for 30 years. Wonderful little nice oak characters. Doesn't like slap you in the face, but it's there. It's so well made.
Yes. I was just at just next to the Union in Paso at Firestone Walker with Jay-Z, Jordan Ziegler, their Paso-based barrel guy. He does all the clean barrel stuff
Okay.
up in Paso. He's a homie of mine. I was just in Paso with my partner and my parents. giving them a tour, and he indicated that DBA is no longer aged in the union, only unfiltered
Oh,
DBA is. So DBA is now entirely stainless, but UDBA is still that 100% oak fermented stuff, which I think is got to be it's one of my top 5 beers ever.
mhm.
If I see it on a menu, I don't care if I've got one of my own beers on the menu. I'm getting 2 beers now because I do not pass UDBA up. It is so refined, so classy, so well balanced, and it's a great story.
Yeah.
It's a perfect beer. Unfiltered DBA. It's just what a triumph, and how lucky all of us are to live at the same time and planet that beer exists.
I know they sent me some a couple months ago, and it's like, now you forget how good this is.
It's absolutely
Yeah.
immaculate.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the new release that's coming out, the Peach Brandy Barrel DBVSOJ. You were kind enough to pour this, so it smells great. As you poured it, you really, I was 6 feet away. You got all the peach notes there. I mean,
Oh yeah, and that was a tank pour,
yeah.
friendly listeners. We were hoping to have this beer canned today, so we could get into a carbonated canned version. Um, but we had some issues with our canning line, and the schedule got moved back about a day and a half this week. So this is just a tank pour. It's not yet carbonated. And even in the brewery, where, this is a working brewery,
Yeah.
the largest independent operation in the state of Illinois, we're brewing and we're packaging. There are smells and there are fermentations galore happening all around us. And again, 6 to 10 feet away, immediately you can smell the peach brandy on this beer. And
As
like,
soon as you poured it, I'm like, oh my God, that smells so good.
yeah, we love loud barrels
Yeah.
around here. So this has really got us excited.
That is so good.
Thank you. So this is a cuvee
Mhm.
of 1, 2, and 3-year-old straight jackets. The 2 and 3-year-old batches are all sweet component, and then there are a pair of 1-year components, one sweet and one dry. They're about equal parts, a little variation, but it's effectively 25, like a quarter of everything. And you want those. That 2 and 3-year-old sweet component, that's like your old goose
Mhm.
component, so goose is 1, 2, and 3-year aged unfruited lambic. There's a reason it's not just 2-year unfruited lambic. The 2-year lambic is missing some of that super funky, what I describe as George Clinton's backside after a half marathon.
Yeah.
That funky, that's where your 3-year component, or what your 3-year component is going to bring. The 2-year component's also missing some of those fresh harmonics of the 1-year component of something a little bit younger. So we like to do the same thing with our barley wines. We realize that time doesn't just do one thing to them. There's a whole host of things that are happening. All that fruity maltiness, your raisin, your fig, your jam,
Mhm.
your date, all that good stuff. That used to be biscuit and bread crust. It used to be bready maltiness, and now it's fruity maltiness. So there's a degradation of those fresh malty characteristics that you're trading. You're basically investing that into becoming the oxidized malt expressions. But wouldn't you rather, instead of just having the jam or just having the biscuit, wouldn't you rather have a little jam on a biscuit?
Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what we've gotten away from, oh, it's VSO, oh, it's XO, it's got to be a minimum of this much time in barrel. That doesn't make it any better. It might make it seem more impressive or more premium on a label, but you don't drink the label.
No.
And if it doesn't drive quality, complexity in the drinking experience, then it's got no business in this program. Everything is for the drinker. And, we want to make sure that it's not just a cool story, that it's actually a compelling liquid in your glass. You pay good money for these beers. We want to make sure that we're giving you the absolute best we can. So we've gotten away from just saying, minimum age requirements. So we like throwing these younger components at some of these older blends because we get so much more complexity and drinkability from it. And especially when we weight the age to the sweet components, we keep our younger components on the drier side. That just means even more of the sugars in the blend belong to that old component. So we're not really blending down the age of the sugar so much. We're just introducing a little bit of that younger sugar, and then we're also blending down the overall sugar concentration, again, to make it more drinkable. All of these beers, whether they're 12% or 18% ABV, we want you to open one of these cans on a Tuesday by yourself and go, Well, shit, that was pretty easy. I might open another.
Yeah.
The last thing we want to do is put out a parade of beers that you can't drink by yourself
Mhm.
and that you need 4 friends to come over and help you with. And that's how you wind up with shelf turds and fridge turds. Beer that you buy and never drink, right? We want you to fight, to struggle
Mhm.
to save this beer because we want you to enjoy it fresh. And maintaining drinkability and approachability is paramount in that aim.
Well, a lot of people vary one or two and they'll keep it for whatever. So you're telling people you buy it, drink it.
Drink it. They're not getting any better. I promise you that. In a can, a beer with no surviving or active yeast in it is not getting better. From the day that it's packaged, it's degrading. And you might not notice for a couple of months. I mean, heck, most of the time, I don't even notice for a couple of months.
Mhm.
But you start getting to a year or longer. And then in certain storage conditions, certain beers, it becomes a little bit more apparent than others. But here's the thing Revolution, we are releasing these beers typically once a quarter and twice in Q4,
Yeah.
right? And our beers are generally in the Deepwood series getting better and more compelling every single year. So the idea that you could age one of these beers in a can to a condition of improvement and improve so much that it's going to be better than what we put out a year from now is laughable to us. Try it if you need to. Just
Mhm.
buy the beer and we're happy.
Yeah.
We want you to enjoy it.
Yeah. You want it to
Um,
be the best it's going to be, which is as soon as you take it home.
Yes, exactly. So these beers, they can last up, especially on draft. In a stainless keg, they stand up beautifully. But in a can, it's just the can is perfect for a lot of things.
Mhm.
But this is something that it's not brilliant at. Initial quality is fantastic. We've got a really high quality can filler and can seamer. So initial quality is beautiful. Like oxygen in package is super low. So yeah, initial quality is fantastic, but there's nothing a can do to improve an English style strong ale
Mhm.
over time in any aging condition.
So those 25-year-old Anchor Christmas beers, I should just drink.
Yeah, I'd say drink it about 22 years
All
ago.
right. Early in the Deepwood series, you and the team at Revolution started the Sanctuary program. Can you tell us about the program? Because rescuing leaking barrels and turning the beer into something special is a cool way to deal with what is essentially a production issue.
Yes. So the Sanctuary program, or what it was initially called Project Sanctuary, this is before we started buying all of our barrels from the same broker, where we could have a little more accountability, a little more customer service, where they were inspecting the barrels and giving us no rinse guarantees, no rebuilding guarantees, stuff like that. Before then, we would lose, an eye-watering number of barrels to contamination and to leakage. And we got sick of mopping, is the short version of it, and got sick of sending perfectly good beer down the drain.
Really good beer down the drain.
Yes. Well, back then it was perfectly good. I
Yeah.
didn't think we were really good just yet. We were getting there. We had accidentally made a couple of good beers, but I don't think we really understood quite like we do now. So it's the initial salvo was maybe, give or take 30 barrels that were all leaking. But according to the lab and sensory, the beer inside these leaky barrels was perfectly fine.
Mhm.
So rather than mopping it all up, I decided to order some barrels and we racked or transferred, leaky barrel number one
Mhm.
into fresh barrel number one. And we had organized all the leaky barrels into two categories, stout and not stout.
Okay.
Back then we had, Very Mad Cow, the milk stout. You had D Star. I think we had messed around with what would become J Monilla a few years later. And then we had, grave diggers, rye ways, straight jackets, our barley wines, rye wine, scotch ale, stuff like that. And we wanted to keep the darks together and the pales together. So we took, barrel number one, leaky barrel number one, put it into fresh barrel number one. Now leaky barrel number one is empty, but fresh barrel number one isn't yet full. So enter leaky barrel number two, which tops off fresh barrel number one.
Mhm.
Well, now fresh barrel number one is full, but leaky barrel number two is not yet empty. Enter fresh barrel number two, and so on and so forth, making these essentially single barrel cuvées of just 2 barrels of beer that were in most cases kind of paired together
Mhm.
to work together as a blend. In some cases, it was just the leftovers.
Yeah.
And we got what we got. The idea here was just to save the otherwise perfectly good liquid from the mop and hopefully have something that we could blend into the big blends. But what we found was a lot of these blends were pretty good right off the bat. We had these cool double barrel cuvées that were all one of a kind. And those barrels that were like sweet component, or otherwise, had enough sugar to balance being double barreled, being 17, 18 ABV, those would go on to be draft variants at our release parties. And they were all, Sanctuary number 1, Sanctuary number 8, whatever. Then we had a few other examples where maybe it was 2 dry components being married together, and that really was inappropriate fresh.
Yeah.
Way too much wood, way too much alcohol for the amount of sugar that we had. So those we had to age and age and age and age and age, in some cases 5 or even 6 years, to get enough evaporation to concentrate what sugar we had to where it would be well balanced. And 5 or 6 years of aging in a single barrel without any kind of topping or oxygen mitigation is going to make a pretty rough product, pretty rustic, I'd say. So again, those sanctuary beers, those were the ones that were really good. Those were all on accident.
Yeah.
The ones that were bad, we mostly blended those away into bigger blends to recoup the liquid, but not lose the value of everything or impact the flavor of anything too much. We did the first 25 sanctuaries, so Sanctuary 1 through 25. We did all at once. And then when we switched barrel supplier to Midwest Barrel, now down in Louisville, it would be maybe 3 years later that we finally executed Sanctuary 26. I think we're up to about Sanctuary 32 or 33 right now, and that's still aging. But yeah, we're not doing a ton of Sanctuary. And again, the beers that we're making on purpose are superior to pretty much anything the Sanctuary ever produced in the past, which I think is a great victory.
Yeah.
So, oh no, we're losing Sanctuary, but I don't care. The rest of the beers,
Everything else
is even better.
yeah. You raise the bar every time.
It's a fantastic problem to have. When we had maybe 7 or 8 barrel-aged beers on for our January Deepwood release between the 4 or so main release beers and the draft variants. And Sanctuary 26, which was the only Sanctuary on the board, was the weak link. Every other beer that we had made on purpose was superior to that. And it was a great beer. We wouldn't put it on, especially put it on at a release party if we couldn't stand behind it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sanctuary, we've joked that, Jim, our brewmaster Jim's going to have to walk through the stacks and just put a couple of holes or bang on some staves, make me a couple of leakers. But we don't want to do that. We're not gonna intentionally do Sanctuary. Sanctuary, the spirit of the thing is that it's got to be a rescue.
Yeah. And something organic that just happens in the course of a natural product like wood.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's grab one more sip of this here. God, everything is phenomenal. Like the aroma is still killer.
Yeah, thank you. There's a lot of supplementary oak going into the blend that got rebarreled into the peach brandy. So we mentioned the rum barrels. Those were Cruzan rum barrels.
Okay.
So these are the same rum barrels that produced last year's rum VSOJ. Now, normally we've got a rule at Revolution when it comes to rum barrels, and that rule is no, because they tend to be very tired and very leaky. So it's a lot of work and a lot of expense for a lot of cleanup and not a whole lot of barrel character or spirit character. But these Cruzan barrels, in contrast, only ever see rum. They don't start their lives as Jack or Jim barrels.
Yeah.
They see rum one time for 1 year, and that's it. So there's still a lot of wood left in the barrel. Years worth of extract is still trapped in the wood. So that's great for us as a second user. And then these rum barrels, we also added some fire toasted French oak. I think it was fire toasted American oak on the rum VSOJ. I'd have to check my notes. Sorry, everybody, to be unclear. But these rum barrels, not only were they themselves far oakier than any typical 4-year-old bourbon barrel even, but we backed that up with even more supplementary oak, so that those rum barrels probably had about 10 times as much wood available to the extractor as a typical even 4-year-old or like a super young bourbon barrel. So we've got all this wood tannin in there, and then we rebarrel into the peach brandy barrels, which could go either way. Fruit brandy barrels could be really punchy, or they can be really, really quiet. And we are so pleased that this is so punchy. These peach brandy barrels are easily the most expressive fruit brandy barrels we've ever laid our hands on. And it's perfect. So what we get on the aroma is clear as ringing a bell. That beautiful peach aroma, and the peach actually comes through on the fore palate. There's like a boozy fore palate, which is interesting. Normally, the fore palate is where simple sugars go to play. But here it's the booze and the wood that's actually dominating the fore palate, which is interesting. And then we get this huge like carpet bombing of malt sugar on the mid palate, where we have all these beautiful long chain malt sugars, where it gives you texture and body and malty sweetness without being like saccharine sweetness, maple syrup or something like a candy sweetness or something off-putting like that. And then oak and alcohol come and they dominate the finish. You got all that hydrophobia from the booze and from the oak tannin, and it's almost like non-stick spray for your palate. As soon as you swallow, the hydrophobia wins, and you get this nice dry finish. But isn't there a lot of sugar in this beer? Yeah, there's a lot of malt sugar in this beer, and it still has a beautiful dry finish.
Yeah.
That allows you to drink 2 cans one sitting if you wanted to.
And you should drink 2 cans. If, we'll talk again as we close on how you could order this, but it's definitely recommended. Now, you talked earlier about your company, Barrel Ponics. So you help other breweries build their barrel programs. What is the thing that you see smaller breweries getting wrong when they start aging in wood?
That's a great question. Boy, do I give the short answer or the real answer?
I got enough battery. We're good. It's on how much work you have to do.
Yeah. So basically, it starts with a philosophy, and that philosophy, the core of our philosophy resides in the understanding of what we call the Trinity. And the Trinity basically describes, in short, everything that's happening to beverage aging in or on wood. And that's extraction, oxidation, and evaporation. Every decision you make as a beverage maker, if you're using wood as an ingredient for flavor, for oxidation, whatever, I want to encourage all of these producers to make every decision through the lens of the Trinity. What am I doing and how does this impact the extract? How much wood am I going to get? I touch something and I bring it into solution, extract. Oxidation. Well, what's oxidizing? It's not the alcohol and it's not the water. It's the sugar, right? What can you do to mitigate oxidation? How much oxidation is necessary and how much is probably overkill?
Yeah.
And then evaporation, what we're doing to concentrate these flavors that we're extracting and oxidizing. Should we top? Should we rotate? What temperature should we age at? How long should we age at? Barrel selection, all this kind of stuff. The big things that you want to dispel immediately is that you want wide temperature swings or hot aging, because hey, that's what you do when you're, aging whiskey.
Yeah.
Well, we're not making whiskey. Our product beer is a million-fold more reactive to time and oxidation than corn spirit, right? So it's kind of reminding folks that, hey, you might be a pro at rickhouse operations, but you're a brewer right now. You're a brewery cellarman or cellar person, and you have to respect beer. So the same forces that will harm beer in glass, in stainless, in aluminum will certainly harm it, and harm it even more in the microoxidative environment of an oak barrel.
Yeah.
Barrels are not magic. They're romantic and they are awesome. And if you really know what the hell you're doing, they can make a great something even better. But if you don't know what you're doing, it could be a net detriment. Yeah. And getting people to not just chase after Pappy barrels. And, as much as I love them, because I love weeded whiskey, not chasing Weller and Eagle Rare. If they come on the market and you're ready for barrels, great. But just chasing those, again, all of these barrels have left the best part of their story on a liquor shelf someplace.
Yeah.
And it's that understanding that the young lumber or even new lumber can get you a lot closer to the quality of Eagle Rare or Weller than the spent barrel that produced that liquor can. So yeah, trying to take the wool off of people's eyes, trying to dispel these bad habits. and these misunderstandings or misconceptions that have bled in from other industries.
What trends do you think are sticking, and which ones are already starting to fade, in your opinion,
Trends specific to barrel aging?
or beer in general?
Well, I'll confess I don't really keep my fingers too close to the pulse of beer in general. I know lagers are having their moment. I think the Czech style lager. I think enough people bought side pull faucets that they're gonna keep those faucets occupied with a nice Czech lagers, or even German lagers. I'm very pleased to see that. NA is I think it's sticking around for standard beers in the barrel age field. I'm seeing less breakfast cereal in the mash.
Yeah.
I'm seeing less gimmicky stuff. I'm seeing more reliance on drinkability of malt, expression of barrels. A lot of we're seeing a lot more long chain sugars in solution. So fewer of those saccharine sweet, core palate sweetness sugars. I think by and large, the quality and drinkability of these barrel aged beers is going up. And I judge FOBAB pretty much every year, and I've noticed that they're clear as a bell. Every year, these beers are getting better and more compelling and more balanced. There are still a few darling adjuncts out there that people use and typically overuse. I don't want to single anybody out, so I'll not mention that, but or not mention any specifics there. But yeah, we're seeing more unique barrels, specialty barrels, and just kind of better constructed beers in general.
Yeah, I mean, every year, everything, gets better. Like you mentioned FOBAB, your series. Every year, it keeps getting better and better. It's like you look forward to the next day. Off like the subject, and we've all been reading a lot of stuff about what's going on with the tariffs and everything else. And well, what I read, I forget, it was Business Insider, something else, like there's this glut of bourbon that's not being bottled because like Canada's not buying our stuff, all of that. Do you see this affecting like somebody like you and breweries who rely on barrels like in the next 5 to 10 years?
I'm not an economist. I did very poorly in high school econ. It was like math, but more boring. Yeah, we've seen a change. Right now barrel prices are lower than they've been in 5 or 6 years, which is nice for us, but that's just the immediate effect.
Yeah.
These are big businesses run by mostly smart people who are going to pivot, and the decisions that they make are going to have downstream consequences for us. Right now, yeah, we've got a lot of barrels that aren't being shipped overseas. So there's more bourbon barrels for us to have because fewer are going to the UK, fewer are going to Japan, fewer are going to anywhere else, China, where they might be reused for something else. So it's a net positive right now for brewers. It's about the only net positive for brewers these days.
Yeah.
I mean, the alcohol industry is a bloodbath top to bottom pretty much right now. There are a couple of exceptions to that, but that's a relatively short list. Wineries, distilleries, breweries, it's a challenging time right now. So we'll take cheap lumber and readily available, high quality bourbon barrels. We'll take it for right now. Other shoe may drop at any moment, depending on the decisions that are made upstream of us. So you take it when it's a nice tailwind like this, but don't forget your jacket.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let me get you out of here with some quick softball ones. What is a beer on your tap list here at Revolution that you wish more people would order?
Ooh, boy. I'm going to limit this to, I'll do like one barrel aged beer, and I'll do one beer that's available most of the time, at least, because there's a million. I could just say Working Man Mild and Eugene Porter.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, good enough.
Yeah, but they're only available once a year. We can't single those out. Anti-Hero. There's a reason it's been our flagship since we started packaging beer. There's a reason it was essentially a flagship back at the brew pub days before we were packaging. That style of IPA, when it's fresh, brewery fresh especially, it's just so unimpeachable. It's unapologetically craft. And I just think when that beer is on, when it's fresh, boy, look out. That beer still punches above its weight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can never say anything bad about it. It's been great for, 16 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's phenomenal.
It hasn't had to change.
No.
No
Citra Anti-Hero or
No, I mean we've got the Hero series,
Yeah.
but even then, all of those Hero beers are a unique recipe, even in the mash bill. You know, we've never done like one stock IPA, just change the hops on it. As easy as that might be, um, Brewmaster Jim Seaback would never allow for that.
Yeah.
Hitting the easy button, not with Jim around. And I'm sure he wasn't the only one to arrive at that conclusion, but yeah, anti-hero when it's fresh and you're at the brewery, clean draft lines, clean beer, clean glassware, a nice heady pour of that. You just can't beat it. And then for like barrel aged beer, like what's on right now, I really wish people would drink that Surly beer. There was the double barrel blend we did with Surly Brewing that we aged on Lees or Sir Lee with Herman Story wine Lees. Even gave it what we call batonnage. So we stirred the lees. We had a lees stirrer made from a fab shop in Paso Robles in wine country. And boy, that's about the most unique English style barrel aged imperial stout that I've ever encountered. It's unique. It's balanced. It's really drinkable. I think it might change some minds. Even the folks of the winery who just live on Coors Light or Pivo, they even loved it. It doesn't get any bigger or dumber than that for them for a beer. So yeah, we're really, really happy with Sir Lee. So if you haven't tried it out, we still got some.
All right.
It is singular in the history of our program.
All right. We'll get you out of here. The last one. What's your shift beer at the end of the day?
Usually a cold time. And if we've got Freedom Lemonade on, I'll do a little splash of Freedom Lemonade at the bottom of the glass and then top it with cold time.
All right. Nice.
If it's not lemonade season, if we got Freedom of Speech, I'll do the same thing with Freedom of Speech. But yeah, it just adds a little bit of acid and just the tiniest little suggestion of fruit. That makes an already drinkable beer just an absolute crusher.
Oh.
And that's what I'm looking for from a shifty. I want to get her down in about 2 minutes. And
Time to go.
Time to go.
Yeah. Well, where can people pick up the Peach Brandy Barrel DBV SOJ?
PBB DBV SOJ.
Yeah. Now cover your left eye.
Yes. Sorry about that, folks. TTB mandates that we put the word barrel after peach.
Okay.
Or peach brandy. So it's there twice. Sorry about that, folks. But yeah, you'll be able to buy it. Reserve 4-packs on our online pre-sale. And that'll go live. If you're a season ticket holder, that'll be Monday morning, April, the release is
13th.
the 17th. The 13th, thank you. So Monday the 13th, season ticket holders will be able to reserve their 1 4-pack allotment. And then both season ticket holders and the general public will get a second crack at it Tuesday morning, 9 a.m., usually 9 a.m. But watch for our socials for specifics on that. It's going to be, we think, limit 1 on the season ticket pre-sale. And it's probably going to be limit 1. We may up it to limit 2 for the public pre-sale. We haven't gotten that. We haven't gotten there just yet.
No.
And then all beers can be picked up at Revolution Brewing on Kedzie Avenue. You've got 30 days from the time you reserve to the time to come pick it up. And then we'll, Friday and Saturday of the release, we'll have a couple of extra fun special things on tap, including the draft variant for PB.
Yeah.
B.
I got it typed up here. DBV SOJ. Yes.
So yeah, we've got a special draft variant of the Peach Brandy Double Barrel VSOJ that was the rum money barrel. The rum VSOJ money barrel with a double dose of oak, and then that got unblended with any other component, finished in the peach brandy. That, I think, is the most expressive and most crowd-pleasing barley wine Revolution has ever produced. So we are going to pour through it all in a hurry. So if you're not here this weekend to try it out, you probably will never get an opportunity to taste this barrel.
So you better show up. Marty, thank you again, brother. I do appreciate you taking time out for letting me try this before it's even canned. This is spectacular. If you're around, Monday, Tuesday, do the ordering, come pick it up, come get the draft variants. You're not going to be disappointed. Marty, thank you again, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, take care.
All right, last week, Old Irving Brewing released a barrel-aged beer called 28 Months Later. It's a barley wine aged for 28 months in a 13-year Willet bourbon barrel. Did a quick video on this. My God, is this beer good? I'm going to talk about it now. The smell is so good. You definitely get all the malt. You get all of those barrel notes there. You get a lot of like sweetness. You get the bourbon. I get a little vanilla, but everyone's nose is different, but that's what I kind of picked up from it. The smell is absolutely fantastic. Let me have a sip here. That is perfection in a glass right there. Not for the faint of heart. It's 18%. You're not going to have that for breakfast. But my God, the flavor on that is spectacular. Wonderful. I mean, it's just like this cornucopia of flavors going on. You get the heaviness and the sweetness of the malt. You get the bourbon notes. I get a little stone fruit in that. So I get like this little tang, like almost like a plum, if you will. Let me have some more of this. There's so much going on with this. Yeah. I definitely get that tartness there. It's just absolutely incredible. If you didn't pick it up or you didn't go to Old Irving, I can't help you on this because I got one can left and I'm saving that for my buddies when we get together. But if you were able to get this or you know somebody who doesn't have friends and they're going to give you one, definitely pick up 28 months later from Old Irving. I'd say put it in the cart, but I mean, the cart's gone. You had to grab this one. It's one of the best beers I've had in a long time. Absolutely phenomenal. All right, the next beer I want to talk about, and I'm not going to do the review here. I had it over on tap at Half Acre when it was released, but they came out with their benthic double barrel 2x4. This is an imperial stout with 4 times toasted coconut, 2 times coffee and vanilla, clocked in at 16.9%. I went to Half Acre because, one, I slept on the pre-order. Totally my fault. Totally missed it. I talked to Letty, who's been on the show before from Half Acre, and she said it sold out in like 16 minutes, 17 minutes, something like that. So it went quick. Don't look to buy it. You're going to have to go to Half Acre if they still have it and have it on tap. But they had 2 versions of it, regular and nitro. I just had the regular because I wanted to try that. Outstanding. The coconut, the coffee, the vanilla was excellent. It almost at first kind of had like a Almond Joy type vibe or a Mounds Bar type vibe to it. I had a little chocolate notes in there too from the malt, but the coconut was right up front. That's what hit me up front. And then you had the vanilla and the coffee. Excellent beer. Absolutely fantastic. I should have had the nitro, but 16.9%. I'm not having 2 of them because I drove. I wasn't about to have 2 of them, but it was excellent. Really good beer. If you're listening to this is coming out Sunday, April 12th. They might still have it on tap, but I would run there as soon as you can to try that one because that was just really good. Everything in their benthic series, everything that they do barrel aged, it's all fantastic. They're one of the best breweries here in Chicago. Everything they do, they knock out of the park. But this benthic 2x4 double barrel, excellent. If you like coconut, you're going to love this beer. Definitely check that out. I tell you to put it in the cart, but it's gone. So there's no cart to put it in. But if you can get your hands on one from a buddy or you can go get it on draft, absolutely be sure to do that. That's going to be a wrap for this episode of Beer in Front. I thank you for listening. I want to thank Marty Scott from Revolution Brewing for coming on and talking about the program of Revolution, the Deepwood series, the new peach brandy barrel. I can't remember all those letters. There's some D's, there's some V's, there's S, all of that, but you got to go pick it up. Also, thank you to the fine people over at Old Irving Brewing and Half Acre for their wonderful releases. I'll talk to you next week. Have a great week, and remember, Sometimes the barrel-aged beer in front of you is the best one yet.